They say trust is the foundation of marriage, but what happens when that foundation is built on 18 years of lies? My wife told me she was working late shifts at the hospital while she was actually in hotel rooms with her millionaire lover. But here's the kicker. When I found out the truth about our youngest son, everything I thought I knew about my marriage crumbled. My name is Dwayne Collins. I'm 42 years old, and I own a commercial cleaning company here in Nebraska. Started it from nothing 12 years ago with a beat-up van and more determination than sense. Now I've got 8 employees and contracts with half the office buildings in town. It's honest work, and it pays the bills for a family of 5. That family part, that's where things get complicated. My wife Tracy and I have 3 kids. Liam, who's 16 and sharp as a tack, Ava, 12 and full of questions about everything, and Lucas, our 8-year-old who still thinks his dad can fix anything. Tracy's 38, works as a nurse at the county hospital. But let me be straight with you. Those last 2 kids weren't exactly planned. Tracy made that clear from day one. After Liam, she wanted to stop. Said 1 was enough, that kids were expensive, that she had career goals. But I wanted a bigger family. Growing up as an only child, I knew what loneliness felt like. Maybe I was selfish, but when those condoms happened to fail a couple times, well, I wasn't exactly crying about it. Tracy never let me forget that Ava and Lucas weren't her choice. Never said it to the kids' faces, but late at night, I'd hear her on the phone with her mother Doreen, talking about how trapped she felt. That should have been my first red flag, but I told myself she'd come around. Instead, she pulled away, started picking up extra shifts at the hospital, came home tired and distant. The kids noticed too, especially Liam. He started asking why Mom never came to his basketball games anymore. The morning everything changed started like any other Tuesday. Tracy was getting ready for another double shift, or so she said. She walked into the kitchen, dressed in scrubs that looked newer than usual. Her hair was done up nice, and she was wearing more makeup than she normally bothered with for work. "You look good," I said, meaning it. She barely glanced at me. "Thanks," Tracy replied, checking her phone. "I'll be late tonight. Dr. Richardson scheduled extra surgeries." Again, the word slipped out before I could stop it. Her eyes flashed with annoyance. "Yes, Dwayne again. Some of us have jobs that actually matter." The kitchen went quiet. I felt heat rise in my chest, but I swallowed it down. Not in front of the kids. That afternoon, I was supervising a job when my phone rang. It was Rick Patterson, an old Army buddy. "Hey, Dwayne," Rick said. "This might be nothing, but I saw Tracy yesterday at Murphy's Steakhouse. She was with some guy in a nice suit." My hand stilled. Tracy hated Murphy's. Said it was overpriced and pretentious. What did the guy look like? I heard myself ask. Older, maybe late 40s. Silver hair, expensive watch. Looked like money. That night, Tracy came home just after midnight. I pretended to be asleep when she slipped into bed, but I could smell cologne on her clothes. Something expensive and male. For the first time in 18 years of marriage, I wondered if I really knew my wife at all. The next few days, I couldn't shake what Rick had told me. Tracy at Murphy's with some silver-haired stranger, looking cozy while I thought she was saving lives at the hospital. I tried to tell myself there was a reasonable explanation, but my gut kept telling me otherwise. I started paying closer attention to the little things. How Tracy's phone was always face down on the counter now. How she started taking showers the moment she got home from work, when she used to collapse on the couch first. How she'd bought new underwear, lacy stuff that never made an appearance in our bedroom. Thursday morning, I made a decision that felt like crossing a line I couldn't uncross. After Tracy left for her shift and the kids caught their buses, I drove to the county hospital. My hands were sweating on the steering wheel as I parked in the visitor lot. I walked into the emergency department like I belonged there, nodding at the security guard who was too busy reading his newspaper to pay me much attention. The nurse's station was buzzing with activity, but I spotted Janet Mills, a woman I'd met at a few hospital charity events over the years. "Dwayne," Janet said with genuine surprise. "What brings you here? Everything okay with Tracy?" "Perfect opening. That's actually why I'm here," I said, putting on my best concerned husband act. "Tracy's been working so many extra shifts lately. I want to bring her some coffee." "Is she around?" Janet's face scrunched up in confusion. "Extra shifts? Honey, Tracy hasn't worked an overtime shift in 2 months. She's barely been picking up her regular hours. Dr. Richardson's been pretty frustrated about it, actually." The words hit me like a brick to the chest, but I kept my expression neutral. "Oh, maybe I got my dates mixed up," I said with a weak laugh. "You know how it is." "Sure do," Janet replied, already turning back to her paperwork. "Tell her I said hi when you see her." I walked out of that hospital on shaking legs. 2 months. Tracy had been lying to me for 2 solid months about where she was spending her evenings. All those nights, she came home smelling like cologne, claiming she was exhausted from back-to-back surgeries. She'd been somewhere else entirely. With someone else. That afternoon, I did something I never thought I'd do. I called my old buddy Mike Torres, who ran a private investigation business out of his garage. Mike and I served together in Iraq, and if there was one thing I knew about him, it was that he could find out anything about anyone. "I need a favor," I told him when he answered, "and I needed to stay between us." "What kind of favor?" Mike asked, his voice cautious. "The kind that involves following my wife and taking pictures." There was a long pause. "Dwayne, are you sure about this? Once you go down this road, there's no going back." "I'm already down the road, Mike. I just need to know how far it goes." We met at a diner on the outskirts of town that evening. Mike slid a small device across the table. A GPS tracker, no bigger than a matchbox. "Magnetic," Mike explained. "Battery lasts 3 weeks. I'll monitor it remotely and follow when she goes somewhere interesting. Standard rate is $200 a day plus expenses." I handed him $400 in cash. 2 days should be enough. That night, after Tracy went to bed claiming exhaustion from her fake shift, I slipped out to the garage. My hands were steady as I attached the tracker to the underside of her car's rear bumper. It clicked into place with a soft thud that sounded like thunder in the quiet night. Walking back into my house, I felt like a stranger in my own life. The man who'd kissed Tracy goodnight 20 minutes ago wouldn't have put a GPS tracker on his wife's car. But that man also wouldn't have married a woman who could lie to his face every single day without flinching. I was learning that sometimes you have to become someone you don't recognize to deal with people who aren't who you thought they were. Mike's first text came Saturday evening while I was helping Lucas with his homework. The message was simple. "Got something? Check your email." I excused myself to the garage and opened my laptop. The photos made my stomach drop. Tracy's car parked outside the Marriott downtown. Tracy walking into the hotel lobby with a man who matched Rick's description perfectly. Silver hair, expensive suit, confident stride. The timestamp showed 2:47 p.m., right when she was supposed to be starting her shift. The next photo showed them in the hotel bar, sitting close, his hand on her knee. Tracy was laughing, head thrown back in a way I hadn't seen in years. She looked happy, genuinely happy in a way she never looked at home anymore. The final photo was the gut punch. Tracy and this man entering an elevator together, her hand in his, both of them looking at each other like teenagers. The timestamp read 4:23 p.m. My phone buzzed with a text from Mike. They stayed 2 hours. Got license plate too. Running it now. I sat in my garage, staring at these photos of my wife with another man, and felt something cold settle in my chest. Not rage. That would come later. Right now, it was just acceptance. The woman I married, the mother of my children, was having an affair. Sunday morning brought another revelation. I was making pancakes when Tracy announced she'd picked up a shift at the hospital. On Sunday, Liam asked, looking up from his phone, "Mom, you never work Sundays." Tracy's jaw tightened. "Well, I do now," she replied sharply. "Some of us have responsibilities." After she left, I called Mike. "She's on the move again." "Already tracking her," Mike replied. "She's not heading to the hospital. She's going east toward the business district." An hour later, he sent me an address. The Riverside Country Club, the most expensive country club in town, where membership cost more than I made in 6 months. That's when Mike's background check on the license plate came through. The man's name was Reginald Hope, age 48, CEO of Hope Development Corporation. Married to Patricia Hope for 22 years. 3 children. Net worth estimated at $12 million. Everything clicked into place. Tracy wasn't just having an affair, she was trading up, looking for a way out of her middle-class life and into something bigger, shinier, something that didn't include cleaning company profits and 3 kids she never wanted. I spent the rest of Sunday planning my next move. Not a confrontation. That would only give her a chance to lie more, to manipulate the situation. Instead, I started thinking about protection. For me, for the kids, for everything I'd built. That evening, Tracy came home glowing, claiming the hospital had been quiet and Dr. Richardson had thanked her for coming in on short notice. How thoughtful of him, I said, watching her face carefully. She just smiled and headed for the shower, humming that same tune she'd been humming all week. I recognized it now, The Way You Look Tonight, the song that had been playing in the hotel bar in Mike's photos. Monday morning, I did something I never thought I'd do. I made an appointment with a divorce lawyer. Not because I was ready to pull the trigger, but because I needed to understand what I was up against if this thing went sideways. The lawyer's name was Robert Fleming, and his office was nothing fancy, just a small suite above a hardware store on Main Street. But Mike had recommended him, saying Fleming was sharp and didn't mess around. Fleming was a thin man in his 50s with gray hair and tired eyes that had seen too many broken marriages. I laid out everything, the lies about work, the photos, the background check on Reginald Hope. How long has this been going on? Fleming asked, taking notes. At least 2 months that I know of, I replied. Probably longer. Fleming nodded. And you have 3 children? Yes. 16, 12, and 8. This could get messy, Fleming warned. Especially if she fights for custody. You need to document everything. Her absence from the home, her lies about work, any evidence of abandoning her parental duties. That afternoon, I started keeping a journal. Every lie Tracy told, every time she missed one of the kids' activities, every evening she came home, late smelling like another man's cologne. I wrote it all down with dates and times. I also started recording our conversations. Nebraska is a one-party consent state, meaning I could legally record any conversation I was part of. I bought a small digital recorder and kept it in my shirt pocket. The breakthrough came Wednesday evening. Tracy was in the shower after another late shift, and I was helping Ava with her math homework when I heard Tracy's phone buzz on the kitchen counter. She'd forgotten it, something that never happened anymore. The text was from Dr. Richardson. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Same place, same time. You're incredible. I screenshot the message and deleted the notification before Tracy got out of the shower. When she came downstairs looking for her phone, I was reading the newspaper like nothing had happened. Did my phone ring? Tracy asked, checking her messages. Not that I heard. I replied without looking up. That night, after Tracy fell asleep, I transferred the screenshot to a secure folder on my laptop. Tomorrow, I'd have Mike follow her again. But now I had proof in her own phone that Dr. Richardson was more than a boss. The hardest part wasn't discovering my wife's betrayal. It was watching my kids slowly realize their mother was pulling away from them. Liam had stopped asking her to his games. Ava had stopped sharing her school projects. Lucas had started coming to me for everything, even things he used to ask his mom about. They could feel it, even if they couldn't name it. Their mother was choosing someone else over them, over the family we'd built together. And that made my decision easier. I wasn't just fighting for my marriage anymore. I was fighting for my children's future, and I wasn't going to lose that fight. Friday evening brought the conversation I'd been dreading. Tracy was getting ready for another shift when Lucas came running downstairs, tears streaming down his face. Mommy, Lucas cried, tugging on Tracy's scrub top. I need help with my science project. It's due Monday. Tracy pulled away from him like he was diseased. Lucas, I don't have time for this, she snapped. Can't you see I'm trying to get ready for work? But you promised you'd help me. Lucas wailed. I never promised anything. Tracy said coldly. Ask your father. He's good at cleaning up messes. That's when I heard it. Those words I'd been waiting for, but hoping I'd never have to use. I had the recorder running in my shirt pocket, and Tracy had just given me gold. Tracy, I said calmly. He's 8 years old and asking for help with homework. She whirled around, her face twisted with frustration. You know what, Dwayne? I'm tired of this. I'm tired of these kids always needing something. I never wanted 3 children. You forced this on me, and now I'm supposed to pretend I'm happy about it. Mommy, Ava's voice came from the stairs. She was standing there in her pajamas, having heard everything. Tracy looked at our 12-year-old daughter with pure resentment. Ava, go to your room. Why don't you love us anymore? Ava asked, tears starting to fall. The silence that followed was deafening. Tracy just stared at her daughter, and for a moment, I thought she might say something, anything, to fix what she'd just broken. Instead, she grabbed her purse and headed for the door. I have to go to work, Tracy announced. Some of us have important things to do. After she left, I held both kids while they cried. Liam came downstairs and just shook his head. Dad, Liam said quietly, you know she's not really going to work, right? I looked at my 16-year-old son and realized he'd figured it out on his own. How long have you known? A couple weeks. I saw her at the mall with some old guy when she was supposed to be at the hospital. They were holding hands. That night, after I got the younger kids calmed down and in bed, I called Mike. I need everything you can get me on this affair, I told him. Times, places, photos, everything. And I need it fast. What's happening? Mike asked. She's starting to show her true colors in front of the kids. I need to end this before she does any more damage. The end came on a Tuesday morning in October. I've been planning this day for weeks, moving my important belongings piece by piece to a storage unit across town. Legal documents, family photos, anything that mattered. The kids knew something was coming. I prepared them as gently as I could. Tracy left for another fake shift, kissing me goodbye like she had for 18 years, completely oblivious that it would be the last time. After the kids caught their buses, I loaded the last of my things into my truck. The dogs went with me. Tracy had never liked them anyway. I left one thing on the kitchen table, where Tracy would see it when she came home. My wedding ring and a single piece of paper with 4 words, I know about Reginald. That afternoon, I picked up the kids from school. I'd already arranged for them to stay with my brother for a few days while everything settled. Liam understood completely. The younger ones were confused, but trusted me. Where are we going, Dad? Ava asked as we drove to my brother's house. Somewhere Mom can't hurt you anymore with her words. I told her. My phone started ringing around 6 p.m. Tracy, calling from an unknown number. I didn't answer. She called 17 times that night. I let every single call go to voicemail. The messages were exactly what I expected. First came denial. Dwayne, I don't know what you're talking about. Call me back. Then anger. How dare you take my children and disappear like a coward? Finally, bargaining. Please, we can work this out. I made a mistake, but we can fix this. But I was done fixing things that Tracy had broken. Wednesday morning brought a text from Mike. Your wife showed up in my office demanding to know where you are. Told her I don't discuss client business. She's desperate. Thursday, Fleming called with news. She's hired Carol Stern as her attorney. Stern's tough, but she's also expensive. Your wife's going to need financial backing for this fight. Let me guess, I said. Reginald Hope is funding her legal fees. That'd be my assumption. But here's the thing. We've got evidence of adultery, abandonment of parental duties, and financial deception. Nebraska is not a no-fault state when it comes to property division. Her affair is going to cost her. Saturday morning, exactly 1 week after I'd left, Tracy finally found me. I was at the storage unit, organizing the last of my belongings, when her car pulled up. She looked terrible, hollow-eyed, hair unwashed, wearing the same clothes I'd seen her in 3 days ago. She walked up to me like she was approaching a wild animal. Dwayne, Tracy said, her voice breaking. Please, we need to talk. No, I replied simply. We don't. I made a mistake. It's over with him. I choose our family. I looked at the woman I'd married, the mother of my children, and felt nothing but pity. Tracy, you had our family. You chose to throw it away. You told our 8-year-old son that you never wanted him. Her face went white. She'd forgotten about the recorder. You can't use that against me, Tracy whispered. Actually, I can. And I will. She came home to an empty house that day. 10 months later, she found out why. Tracy's desperation became the talk of our small town within days. According to my brother Jim, she'd shown up at his house 3 times demanding to see the kids. Each time, Jim told her the same thing. They don't want to see you right now. She tried my mother next. Mom later told me the conversation went exactly as expected. Helen, Tracy had said, standing on Mom's porch with red-rimmed eyes, please tell me where Dwayne is. We can fix this. My mother, all 5 feet 2 inches of her, looked Tracy up and down with pure disappointment. Tracy, Mom replied firmly, you told my grandchildren you never wanted them. You broke my son's heart for some rich man's attention. There's nothing left to fix. Then she shut the door. Tracy's most pathetic attempt came through the kids' schools. She showed up at Lucas's elementary school, claiming she needed to pick him up for a doctor's appointment. The secretary called me immediately. Mr. Collins, Mrs. Wilson said, your wife is here demanding to take Lucas. Should I call the police? If she doesn't leave voluntarily, yes. Tracy left, but not before screaming in the school parking lot that I'd kidnapped her children. Half the neighborhood heard about her breakdown by evening. She even hired a private investigator to follow me. The man was obvious, sitting outside my storage unit, tailing me to the grocery store. I called Fleming. "She's having me followed," I told him. "Good," Fleming replied. "That shows desperation and harassment. Document everything. This'll work in our favor." 3 weeks after I'd left, Mike called with interesting news. "Your wife's boyfriend dumped her," he said. "I followed her to Hope Development yesterday. She went into Reginald's office crying and came out 20 minutes later in tears. She sat in her car for an hour." That explained the increasingly frantic phone calls. Tracy had lost her husband, her boyfriend, and her children all within a month. The reality of her choices was finally hitting home. But I felt no sympathy. She'd made her bed, and now she was lying in it alone. The whole town was watching her fall apart, and everyone knew exactly why. The divorce papers were served on a cold December morning at Tracy's workplace. I had Fleming deliver them there deliberately, ensuring her colleagues would witness her humiliation. She'd publicly destroyed our family. She could publicly face the consequences. According to Janet Mills, Tracy's reaction was exactly what I'd hoped for. She broke down right in the nurse's station, crying and saying it was all a mistake. Dr. Richardson had to send her home. The papers laid out everything: adultery, abandonment of parental duties, emotional abuse of minors, and financial deception. Fleming had documented every lie with timestamps and evidence. Tracy hired Carol Stern, an expensive attorney known for aggressive tactics. The retainer alone was $15,000, confirming that Reginald was funding her defense. Stern's first move was predictable: filing for temporary custody and emergency spousal support, claiming I was an unstable man who'd kidnapped the children in a jealous rage. Fleming laughed when he read it. "She's grasping at straws. We've got recordings of your wife telling the kids she never wanted them. Stern knows she's fighting a losing battle." The temporary hearing was set for January 15th. 2 days before, Stern filed a desperate motion claiming I'd been psychologically abusive throughout our marriage, forcing Tracy to have unwanted children through reproductive coercion. "It's a Hail Mary," Fleming explained. "She's trying to flip the narrative, make Tracy the victim. Problem is, we have 18 years of evidence showing you were a devoted husband and father." The hearing was a masterclass in legal destruction. Fleming presented our evidence methodically: GPS data, photos of her affair, employment records proving she'd lied about overtime, and finally, the recorded conversation where she told the children she never wanted them. When that recording played, Tracy's face turned white. Her own words telling Lucas she was tired of kids always needing something made several people in the courtroom visibly recoil. Judge Morrison listened with an increasingly stern expression. When Stern tried arguing Tracy deserved a second chance, the judge cut her off. "I've heard a woman tell her 8-year-old child she never wanted him," Judge Morrison said coldly. "This court will not reward that behavior." The ruling was swift. I got temporary full custody. Tracy received supervised visitation only, pending psychological evaluation. No spousal support. Nothing. As we left the courthouse, Fleming warned me, "This is just the beginning. But we've got the high ground now." Justice was finally coming. 3 months after the custody hearing, Fleming called with news that would change everything. The court-ordered psychological evaluation had recommended DNA testing for all 3 children. Standard procedure in contested custody cases. "Dwayne," Fleming said carefully, "we got the DNA results back. There's something you need to know about Lucas." My stomach dropped. "What about Lucas?" "He's not biologically yours." The words hit me like a physical blow. Lucas, my 8-year-old son who still climbed into my lap for bedtime stories, who called me dad with absolute trust, wasn't actually mine. "Are you sure?" I asked, though I knew Fleming wouldn't call unless he was certain. The test was run twice to confirm. "Lucas shares no genetic markers with you." I sat in my truck outside the kids' school, staring at nothing. All those times Tracy had gotten defensive when I questioned Lucas's conception. The affair with Reginald wasn't her first betrayal. It was just the most recent one I discovered. When I picked up Lucas that afternoon, he ran to me like always, backpack bouncing, excited about his day. Looking at his trusting face, I felt the same overwhelming love I'd always felt. DNA didn't change 8 years of being his father in every way that mattered. What are my options? I asked Fleming that evening. This actually strengthens our position, he explained. Since Lucas isn't biologically yours, this proves Tracy had an earlier affair. It shows a pattern of deception going back years. However, there's legal precedent called psychological paternity. You've been his father since birth. Removing him now could cause significant harm. The final divorce hearing was scheduled for March 15th. Tracy showed up looking like a shadow of her former self. Weight loss, unkempt hair, clothes hanging loose. Reginald had completely cut ties after his own wife filed for divorce. Carol Stern made one last desperate argument for joint custody, claiming Tracy had undergone therapy and was ready to be a better mother. Judge Morrison wasn't buying it. Ms. Stern, the judge said coldly, your client told her children she never wanted them. She abandoned her family for an extramarital affair. The evidence shows she is unfit for unsupervised contact. The final decree was brutal but just. I received full custody of all 3 children, the house, my business assets, and retirement accounts. Tracy got her car, personal belongings, and nothing else. No alimony, no child support, minimal supervised visitation. As we left the courthouse, Tracy made one final desperate plea. Dwayne, please. They're my children too. I stopped and looked at her. Tracy, you told Lucas you never wanted him. You broke Ava's heart. You destroyed Liam's trust. They're not your children anymore. They're mine. DNA test or no DNA test, these kids were mine now, and I was never letting anyone hurt them again. 5 years later, I'm watching my kids get ready for school in our kitchen, barely able to remember the man who used to lie awake wondering if his wife loved him. Lucas is 13 now, star player on his basketball team. He still doesn't know about the DNA test, and I've decided he never needs to. He's my son in every way that matters. Ava's 17 and headed to college on a partial academic scholarship. She's confident and funny, never mentioning missing her mother. When she started dating, she told me, I want someone who treats me like you treated Mom before she messed up, Dad. That's how I'll know he's worth keeping. Liam graduated valedictorian and is finishing sophomore year studying engineering. He calls every Sunday. Sometimes he mentions seeing Tracy around town. She works at a discount store now, living in a small apartment. She never remarried. 2 years ago, I met Sarah at one of Lucas's games. She's a teacher and widow with a 10-year-old daughter named Emma. We took things slow because I needed to be sure she wanted all of us, not just me. When she said yes to my proposal last Christmas, Lucas was first to hug her. Tracy has requested to see the kids 3 times in 5 years. Each time they declined. Judge Morrison terminated her parental rights 2 years ago when she stopped showing up for supervised visits. Last month, I got a letter from Tracy. She'd heard about my engagement and wanted to clear the air before I remarried. She said she was sorry, that she'd been confused and selfish. I threw the letter away without finishing it. My business has tripled in size. 22 employees now, contracts across 3 counties. The kids help out sometimes, and Lucas loves driving the supply truck. This morning, Sarah made pancakes while I packed lunches. Emma and Lucas were arguing about which movie to watch tonight. Normal family chaos that makes me smile. You know what? Sarah said, wrapping her arms around my waist. This is exactly how a family should sound. She's right. Tracy came home to an empty house 5 years ago and spent 10 months wondering why her life fell apart. The answer was simple. She chose to destroy something good for something that was never going to last. I chose to build something better. Sometimes the best revenge is just living well.